Hello and welcome to Hexed Encountered. My name's Joe. In this video we will be doing a playthrough of the game Manila, The Savage Streets, 1945. This is the second volume of the Solitaire Area Movement series designed by Michael Rinella and co-published by Take Aim Designs and Revolution Games. This game is, as you might guess from the name, a solitaire game with areas instead of hexes. So you basically have an area control. This is the Battle of Manila in February, March of 1945 in the Philippines. The U.S. Army taking on the Japanese defenders. And it was a brutal urban battle. And it follows the first volume of this particular game series, which was on Stalingrad and called Stalingrad Advance to the Volga, which is a game I greatly enjoyed. And I was really looking forward to playing this game. And this game is similar to the original, as you might expect. There are some slight changes for the change in venue, so to speak. But a very, very straightforward game, not overly complicated, but a lot of fun and a lot of challenge. And it does change from game to game because all the Japanese defenders marked by these chits here, these counters, have various strategies that they use and various strengths. So you never know what you're going to get when you move your forces into an area. When you move forces into an area with an unrevealed Japanese unit, you are required to attack. It is a mandatory attack. If you don't win, there are various levels of victory and defeat. You can have a repulse where you have to basically you lose your lead unit and back out into the area you came from. You can have a stalemate where basically combat continues into the next turn. You can have a success where you eliminate the defenders and take control of the area, but your units are spent, meaning that their turn is over. Or you can have an overrun where you basically take out the defenders, but you do it by such an overwhelming margin, which is equal to their which is greater than their defense value. If you win by more than their defense value, you actually overrun them and your units are not spent, but you do eliminate them and take control of the area. To win the game, the U.S. forces have to take over 34 of the 37, which would be a historical victory. If you take over all 37 before the end of the game, it is an overwhelming victory and an instant victory. There are some tracks. You have supplies. You will roll for supply each turn, and you use those supply points to do various things, such as buy support units, which includes artillery support, engineer support, and air support. You can also purchase units that are put out of action to bring them back into the fold. And you can also help control your morale. Your morale track is here, and you will lose morale as you go through the game. You can always use your supply points to purchase a morale point to kind of keep it above water, because if you get a +1 to your attack value while it's on this kind of orangey color, once you get to 9, though, it flips over and it becomes weakened and the defense value gets increased by 1 instead. So that is obviously something you want to avoid. So there is a lot of balancing and strategy involved in determining how to spend your supply points, and then of course where you're going to attack, what kind of support you're going to employ, assuming you have it based on how many supply points you had, and so on and so forth. Sequence of play, very straightforward. It's right here on the board for us, dawn phase. So in the dawn phase, you will receive reinforcements. That happens twice per game, once in the second turn and once in the sixth turn. I have those units actually off shot here, and I'll bring them in rather than put them on the turn track, which you can do just to kind of remind yourself. But there is a symbol here that tells you the units that come in. There's also a mandatory withdrawal of some units in turn 6. And you would also determine the status of any leaders who become out of action based on combat results by rolling 1d6. And on a 1-2, they are killed in action and eliminated permanently. On a 3-4, they come back in 1 turn. And on a 5 or a 6, they can come back immediately. Leaders are important because they do give you a +1 die roll modifier on, or +1 to your attack, rather. It's not a die roll modifier. Although it kind of works out to be the same, essentially. And you'll see that when we do combat. So the second phase, second phase in the sequence of play is the random event phase. So we roll 3 dice, and you get 3 red and 4 green dice with the game. And here is our random event chart. So you're going to get a result, obviously, with 3d6 between a 3 and an 18. We roll. We get an 11, and an 11 is civilians and refugees. So the attack value of any mandatory attack is reduced by 1 this turn. So basically, we have a bunch of civilians, and they are kind of getting in the way, and so on and so forth. Civilian casualties in this battle were very high, as can be the case, obviously, when you're fighting in an urban environment in a highly populated area. So we will have to keep that into account. So I'm going to put that here. We have an attack value counter and a defense value counter that we can use to keep track of what our attack values are and the defender's value as well. So next we go to supply phase. So we roll 4 dice this time to see how much supply the Americans get. And we get a 5, 2 3s, and a 1. So that is a total of 12. So we put our 1 on the 2 and our 10 on the 1 to indicate we have 12. Now we can spend them on various things. And as I mentioned, you have a supply cost track here. 1 point for an artillery support, 2 points for engineering support, 3 for an air support. Then, this isn't the case yet, but down the road, you can spend 2 to bring back an infantry unit from the out of action box, 3 for an armor unit from out of action, and 3 points to bolster your morale by 1 point. So we will spend all 12, I believe. You can carry some over. You don't have to spend it all. But I'm going to try and make some hay here on turn 1, if I can. So I'm going to buy all 3 of the engineering support, which it costs us 6. And then I'm going to buy 6 artillery support. That's 5. We need 1 more. So that is all 12 of my points spent. So we'll just mark this back to 0. We control 3 areas. The areas that the U.S. controls at the start are up here in Caloocan, Grace Park Airfield, and San Rafael. All the Japanese controlled areas fall into one of 3 terrain types. You have the circular ones, which are clear terrain, and they give a +2 modifier to the defense, so it adds 2 points to your defense. You can see all the circles will have a +2. The number in red is the area number. There are 37 total areas. As I mentioned, Intramuros here is the 37th area. The first area is up here. It's Caloocan, where the Americans are. And so you can see that they are circles as well. Then you have your squares, which are urban type. They give a +3 modifier. And then lastly, you have a hexagon type, which is the fort type, which gives you, as you might expect from a fort, a little bit extra for your defense. You get a +4 on that one, on your defense. So now we would go to our combat phase. So in combat phase, it's pretty simple. You can activate areas and then move as many of those units as you wish. And you can move them to different areas. There is a stacking limit of 6 for moving into one area to prevent, I guess, kind of overwhelming force, trying to put too much force into one area. We'll talk about how combat factors are added up here in a second. So one last thing, we have 3 divisions of American forces here, or elements thereof. We have the 37th Division up here. Each of these are basically your regiments and the individual units underneath them. If they're infantry, they are battalions. So you have 3 battalions of infantry and an attached company of tanks in all 3 of these. The cavalry, so this is the 37th Infantry Division. This is the 1st Cavalry Division. Obviously, it's organized a little bit differently. But again, you have 2 infantry units, an armor unit, and a recon unit. Well, this one actually has 2 infantry and 2 armor. And that's the 44th, which actually gets withdrawn in turn 6. So you do want to utilize that. And you lose a morale point if any of those are in the out of action box when that unit is removed from combat. The 3rd Division here is the 11th Airborne. This is pure infantry. We have 3 battalions here of the 11th. And that is the total of the starting forces for the Americans. So we're going to take one of these regiments, and let's just start with white here. So this is the 148th. So we have the leader, we have 3 battalions of infantry, and a company of tanks. So our total combat value, you pick the lead unit. Okay, so this is the one that could end up getting eliminated, basically, is the way it really works out. But you typically want your highest firepower unit. So it's a bit of a risk and a gamble. But you want your highest firepower unit because that's the base for your combat value or your attack value. So we'll go with the tanks, which is a 6. And then you get 1 for each additional unit. So 7, 8, 9, and 1 for the HQ makes 10. So then we put our attack value marker on 10 just so we can keep track of it. We reveal the Japanese. They have an elite, which is their strategy, and a 5. So their defense value starts at a 5 plus the urban modifier of 3 gives them an 8. So they're at 8 right now. And we know we're going to lose 1 for the civilian and refugees here on our attack value. So it's 10-8 is the base value. Now an elite unit here on our strategy chart will give you the Japanese will roll 3 dice instead of 2. Normally you roll 2d6 for combat for both sides. In the event of an elite defender, you roll 3 and you drop the lowest of the 3 dice, the lowest value. So it is 10-8, plus we get 1 for the strong morale, which would make it 11 for the Americans. But we lose that for the civilians and refugees. Now we can apply support. So if we apply 1 infantry, or 1 artillery rather, and 1 engineer, that's 3, 2 for the engineer and 1 for the artillery. That would move us to a 13. So it's 13-8, which gives us a 5 advantage. If we roll higher than they do, because their defense value is a 5, if we win the battle by 6 or more, it's an overrun, and our units will not be spent, but can move on and do combat again. So now we have to roll. They do have a little bit of an advantage here in that they get to drop one of their dice. And we got a 12, which is awesome. So that's definitely going to help. And they got a 2, a 5, and a 2. So we'll remove one of the 2s. So they get a 7. So we got a 12, which is going to make us a 25. And they got a 7, which is going to make them a 15. That's a difference of 10. This unit has been eliminated. These guys are not spent, although the support is. And they get to attack again if we want them to, which we probably will. So they take control of that. Now we can put a marker on here. This is kind of, in a way, it's a little bit superfluous because if you don't do it, you'll be able to tell that the U.S. controls it because anything that's Japanese controlled will have a Japanese counter in it. But we'll use it just to that's what it's there for, and we'll use it. So now we would move on to our next unit. So we could take, say, Whitcomb here with the 145th, and we'll move him in here, and they're all the same. So let's flip this guy. He's got an elite 10. So again, they're going to roll 3, drop the lowest, and their base is a 10 plus 3 makes a 13. Our Americans will start off with a 10. Plus 1 would be 11, but again, we'll subtract that out. And now if we apply, again, support to make it 13, we both have a 13 to start with, so it's an even fight to begin. And we roll, and they rolled really well, and the U.S. did not. The U.S. got a 7. They got a 6 and 2 4s, which is going to give them a 10. So 7 for the U.S. with 13 is a 20, and they got a 10, which gives them 23. So they win the battle. When that happens, you lose your lead unit, which was our armored unit, so that will go into out of action. These guys are spent and have to go here, and we lose a morale point. These go away. Now the strategy only takes effect the first time you use it. So after this, they will not get to roll 3 dice because they're revealed now. They'll roll 2, but their defense value is still going to be a 13 because of the 10 plus the 3 for the terrain. So now we have our third regiment here. We're going to move them in. This is the 129th. And again, they're going to have a 10 +1, -1, so we'll leave them at 10. We know that they're a 10 as well, so we're both a 10. Actually, no, they're a 13. Sorry. They are a 13, but they only get to roll 2 dice this time. And if we want to, we will apply 3 points of support because I want to clear this area. So we both have 13, and now I just have to outroll them on this die roll. And we do not. And we do not. So we get repulsed again. And so this is where you see how the game can become somewhat difficult, because now I'm going to need 6 points of supply just to get my 2 armored units back. And they stay there, and they continue to hold us up. Now I do have these guys here. I can attack there again to see if we can finally pry them loose. But I think what I'm going to do is I will just simply try something else. We're going to try San Nicolas here, so we're going to move these guys in here. We know that they're going to be a 10. I just realized that was not a loss, that was a stalemate, because I forgot to apply the +1 for combined arms. I always do this. So these guys actually, they stay spent, but they did not lose their armor, but they are spent. So we'll have and we didn't lose our morale either. So yeah, I forgot to add the +1 for the combined arms for that one. So we're going to attack here. We know the Americans will start with a 10 because of the +1, -1. The Japanese will get elite again. So we're getting a lot of elites here. So that's an elite 7. So they will also start at 10. Now we will add a artillery support, which makes us 11, and then we get 1 for combined arms to make it 12. So they again get to roll 3. And we got a 9, and they got an 11. So that is also going to be a stalemate if I'm adding this up right. So we're going to drop the 1. We got 9. So that gives us 21, and they got 11, which gives them 21. So I was right. So this is also a stalemate. That was not a great turn for the Americans so far. We've only captured 1 area. We're down to 2 artillery support. Let's have our airborne attack the fort here. Nichols Airfield. They get ambush 9. So what the ambush does, place the lead attacking unit in the out of action box after combat resolution unless it's a repulse, basically. So now they are a little bit thinner. They don't have any armor, so our lead unit will just be the 1st regiment here. Well, 1st battalion, I'm sorry. So they get a 4, 5, 6, 7. So that is a 7. And the Japanese get a 9 + 4 is a 13. And I am not going to even try. I'm just going to assume that this is a repulse. And we get a 7, so that is 14. And they get a 6, which is 19, so they win. We get repulsed, so that means that our unit actually gets pushed out over there anyway. We take a morale loss, and we have to retreat. So our great results continue here. So let's take we'll take our cavalry, and we're going to attack the Santa Mesa estate here. They have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and the Japanese have ambush 6. So again, if we don't win this by a overrun or get repulsed, oh wait, no, that's fanatic. Sorry, I had ambush means we're going to lose our lead unit, so we're going to lose one of our infantry 5s here. So they get a 6 + 2 is 8, so they're at an 8, and we are at a 9. So the only way we ignore this result as far as losing our unit is if we get a repulse. So I am going to spend one of my artillery, and I'm going to save the other one for the other combat I'm going to do. So we'll put this in here. That gives us one more, plus one for the combined arms. And again, these two cancel. So we have an 11 and they have an 8. We roll. And it's 7 to 6. So they get 15 and we get 17. So we win. So they are eliminated. And that gives us, we have 2. We've picked up 2. You're supposed to move these up and I forgot. So we have 5 control now. And we have 1 attack left, 1 artillery support left. So we will be attacking, we'll attack Balara over here. They have a Fanatic 6. So Fanatic, if the combat's a success, it's changed to a stalemate. Ignore if the result is a repulse, stalemate, or overrun. So it's only a 6, so they're going to start out at an 8. We have a 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, plus 1 for combined arms is a 12. And that is it. And we're going to roll here. So it is a 12 to 7. Their base is a 6. So if I can beat them by 2, we'll get a overrun. And we did beat them by 2. We got a 5 and they got a 3. So 5 plus 12 is 17 and 3 plus 8 is 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so it's actually not. We did win, but it's not an overrun. Control in there, get 1 extra point. Oh, nope, 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 nope. Wrong. That was a Fanatic, so we have to fight them again next turn. So that ends the phase. So at the end phase, you flip all your spent back to fresh. So we flip everybody back over. We reduce morale by 1. We move to turn 2. So turn 2, we get reinforcements. So this will be our first reinforcements. So 6 units of the airborne join in the fun here. So they join the fun, and we go to the random event phase. So we roll 3d6. And we get a 9, and a 9 is civilians and refugees. So they stay on out here. So they're gonna be gumming up the works again this turn, costing us our +1 from morale, basically canceling that out. Now we'll roll for supply. We roll our 4 green dice. Well, that's a good roll. That's a good one. I like this. So we got a 6, 2 5s, and a 2 for 18 total. And I needed that. Definitely needed that. Because I want to buy back my units here. So this would be 2, 4, and 3 more is 7. So that puts us back at 11. Okay, so we'll return our tanks here. We're going to put everybody back with their original unit. So this airborne unit will go back to its airborne brethren. And this guy goes... Whoops, I forgot to flip them. Goes back here to Hoffman's command from the 1st Cavalry. And that is that. Now we need to decide how much support we want to buy. I'm going to take 2 engineers for 6 and then 5 artillery. Now we go to our combat phase again, and we just repeat the process, except now we kind of have some combat that is going to be round 2, basically. So we have combat in this one and in this one. All right, let's see. We will start here. So we have an elite 7 plus 3. So the Japanese defense is going to be a 10. The base of the American attack is also going to be a 10. And the 1 and the 1 cancel out again. We will, there is no modifier, so it's basically just a straight up dice off. So I'm actually not going to apply any support here. I'm going to risk it. So that's an 11 to 8. So these guys get spent. Now, because it was a contested area, they do not retreat. They just stay there. But yeah, that did not work out the way I hoped it would, of course. And I'm struggling here. Moving on to our next one. Let's try this up here with the Fanatic. So he's got an 8. The Americans have, I believe, let's see. They've got a 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 to start. We'll put an artillery support in here for another one to give us a 12. So it's 12, 8. Simple dice off. And it's 8 to 8. So they got 8, which gives them 16, and we got 8, which gives us 20. So we win. And these guys get marked as spent. But we do take control of the area. This is actually, I prematurely moved that. I didn't move it back. We have 1, 2, and now 3. So now we have 6. Well, let's try this one. This is a tough one too. So we've got 10 plus 3. They start at 13. We start at 10. Now I'm going to use artillery and engineer here, which bolsters us to 13 and then 14 for combined arms. So again, no effect from their strategy because they're already revealed. And they beat us again. And because it's already contested, so they got an 8, which gives them 21, and we got a 4, which gives us 18. These go away. This game is going to end up being a loss because I am just getting stifled left, right, and center here. Now we'll see some movement that, because you do have movement costs, these guys have 6, and the armor has 6. So if we moved here, because it's adjacent to some Japanese units that cost 2, which would leave them with 4. Now, you need 4 to enter an area with an unrevealed Japanese unit. That is what we're going to do. We're going to move here to Tondo and reveal our Japanese unit. And it is, again, an elite and an 8. So they're going to start at 11, 8 plus 3. We start at 10. We will use engineer and artillery support to get to 13, and then we get 14 for combined arms, and they get to roll 3 dice. And their great rolls continue while my crappy rolls continue, and we get repulsed. So it occurs to me that I've probably been doing this wrong, and I need to correct some stuff. So they lost, and their lead unit should be moved to the out of action, and we should take a morale hit. They also lost. Their unit also would go to out of action. And we take a morale hit. And we just lost here. So their lead unit would also go out of action. They would have to retreat and be marked as spent. And we take a morale hit. They won, and they're the only ones that have so far. So we will now move to... let's move here, I guess. So we're going to move here. They get a +3. So they'll start at 3. And their unit is a barrage 6. So barrage. So the American player must either place 1 attacking infantry or armor unit in the out of action box prior to combat resolution, or flip all attacking units to spent and retreat. Well, given how much I have already in the out of action box, I am simply going to mark them spent and retreat, and they win. It doesn't say anything about having to reduce morale, at least. So there's that, I guess. Now we'll do some, I guess the only thing we have left is down here. We know that's a 9. We're going to attack here. So they've got 13 to start. We start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll use both of our remaining artillery, which will give us a 9. And they got a 5, and we got a 9. So their 5 gives them 18. Our 9 gives us 18. So I'll put that in there. Mark these guys as spent, and they get to stay there because it's a stalemate. Now we'll send both of these, since we can do 6, we'll send both of these in here to Malabay Estate. It is a Sniper 5. So Sniper, place 1 leader unit in out of action after combat resolution. Player's choice if more than 1 is present. If no leader is present, treat as an ambush. So we do have 2 leaders. Now we have 4. We'll say this guy is the lead unit. So we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They have 5 plus 3 is 8. We get, we don't have combined arms, so this is basically, this is 9-8. That's all it is. 9-8, which means we have to win straight up, and so far this game I've not really been doing much of that, and we didn't do it this time either. But because we had one edge on them, so let's first of all, we're going to put him over here. All of these guys are spent, but we get to stay here because it was a stalemate. Because they got a 6, which gives them 14, and we got a 5, which gives us 14. So it's a stalemate. So really not much happened there. So now we are at the end of the turn. We'll flip all these guys back to fresh. I tell you, unless you roll well, this game can be brutal. The Japanese are kicking my tail. I feel like I'm not making any progress here. 2 turns in, we've taken 3 areas. That's not great. You need to average. If you think about it, you need to capture 31 areas. If you start with 3, and you need 34. So you need 31 areas in 9 turns. Simple math will tell you that you need to average better than 3 per turn to actually pull that off. And I have 3 total after 2 turns. So not doing all that well. So we go to turn 3, and here in turn 3, we don't get any reinforcements here. So we do have to roll for our leader. So let's see what happens to Hildebrand here. We need to roll high. And we roll a 2, of course, which means he's killed. So he's gone. Now let's roll for our random event. And we get a 7, and a 7 is Paw's 37th Division. So that means the 37th Division, these 3 guys right here, they can't move this turn. So we'll put a pause on them. I'll just stick it there. Or no, you know what? We'll put it here. The only good thing is that we did lose our civilian -1 modifier. But again, that's going to stall us out, and we're not going to make any progress this turn. So now let's roll for supply. And I'll probably roll like a 4 or something here. Oh my God. I rolled 4 6s. That one popped out. But I need the help, so I'm taking the 24 points. 24. Because 1 popped out of the tower, but they all landed on a 6. So that's, I need that kind of luck right now. Because I have to spend 9 just to get my armor back. Yeah, let's do it. Because you don't know what you're going to roll on the next turn. So we're going to put these guys back. So that leaves us with 15. And then I'm going to spend, I'll spend all 15. So we're going to buy 3 of these for 6. And 9 artillery. So that's 3. And that is all of our supply. Because we need to make some hay here. This has been terrible thus far. Okay, so now we do combat. So we'll start down here. I'm just going to stack these in 1 stack now since we lost a leader. So we have 5, which is 1 short of the max. These are all 4s, so we'll just say that this one is our lead. And we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They have 8, so we both start at 8. We get a +1 for morale, which gives us 9. We do not have combined arms because we don't have any tanks. So we will give them an engineer to make it an 11. And we'll give them an artillery as well to make it a 12. So no combined arms. So, all right. So we have a 12 to 8 as our base here. And they get a 5 and we get a 5. So they go to 13 and we go to 17. That is a difference of 5, which is equal to that, but not higher than it. So they get spent. These are removed. That becomes a 7 now because we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we'll do this one, which is always this is a tough nut to crack. They have 13. We have 4 plus 3 is 7. Again, we'll just use the top infantry as our lead unit. So it's 13 to 7. I'm going to put 2 engineers and an artillery in there to even the odds. Then we're going to get a +1 for the morale. And that gives us an edge of 1. So if I could actually outroll them for once, these red dice keep rolling high and the greens roll low. And again, 8 to 6. You're killing me with this. How can I never outroll them? All right. Well, that's fantastic. So this guy goes there. We lose another morale point. At least we don't have to retreat. Now we're down to the cavalry because these guys can't attack. So we'll try this one again. Move into the San Francisco Del Monte area again. We get a 5, 6, 7, 8. Infantry will be our lead unit. So that's an 8 to 9. We start at 9. We start at 8. We get a +1 for the morale. So it's 9, 9. We'll take 3. Take 3 artillery. You can have as many artillery as units. So we'll take 3 there. That gives us 3 more and a combined arms as well. So 3 would be 13 plus combined arms. So it's 14 to 9. And we roll a 3 and they roll an 8. So there you go. It's a stalemate. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. These guys will move here to the water supply pipeline. We'll flip this guy over. It's barrage 5. So again, barrage means we have the choice of placing an infantry or armor unit in the out of action box prior to combat or flip all units to spent. You know what? This time I'm just going to put a unit in the box because why not? So we get 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's a 10. That's our lead unit. It is 10 to 7. To start with, I can use 3 artillery, 1 for each unit. Actually, no, there's 4 there, I guess. I think that's right. If it's not, it's only a 1-point difference. And we do get a combined arm, so 7, 8, 9, 10. +1 for the morale, +1 for combined arms gives us 12, +4 artillery gives us 16. It is 16 to 7. So hopefully this means I can win because I'm getting frustrated here. They got a 7, so they outrolled us again. They get 14, and we got a 6, which makes 22. 22 is 8 over that, so this is actually an overrun. These all get expended. Control this one now. We get another point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, that is correct. We have 8. And we can attack again. The question is, do we? Yeah, we need to. We need to make some progress somewhere because this is getting ridiculous. Let's take Camp Murphy because it's only a +2 here. So hopefully it's an ambush 4. So again, we can place the lead attacking unit after combat resolution. So that's going to give us another unit in there. And I'm going to use the infantry because it costs 1 less supply point. That's going to be our lead unit. So 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 8. They have 6. We get 1 for morale and 1 for combined arms. Actually, no, we don't get the combined arms. So we just get 9. So it's 9, 6. So if I can just outroll them by, or not get outrolled by more than 4, And they get a 6, and we get a 9. So I finally outroll them. So their 6 gives them 12. My 9 gives me 18. That is a great number, greater than... It's not enough for an overrun, but we do take the area. So that's at least worth something. And we get another control point. So we're at 9 after turn 3. So we did do a little bit of a bounce back there and got to 9. So that's pretty good. And we go to the end phase now again. We lose a morale point. We're down to 11. We're getting dangerously close here. We didn't have any leaders that time that we have to check, so that's good. And no reinforcements. Now we will roll for our random event. 3 dice. And that is an 11, and that is going to be the civilians and refugees again. So we're going to lose one of on our attack value. And now we'll roll for reinforcements. And we rolled 12 plus 6 is 18. So 18, that's a pretty good roll. Actually, that's 8. That's 1. So 18, I'm going to spend 4 to bring these guys back because I want to bring them back. So that is 4, leaving us with 14. I'm getting nervous about morale here, but I'm going to spend, let me go to turn 4. I'm going to spend 6 on engineers and 8 on artillery. So that's all my supply. Let's start up here. We'll bang this drum again. So they start out with 10. We have 6 and 4 is 10. That cancels out, so it stays 10. Now if we add some support, we'll add an engineer and an artillery to give us 3 more plus 1 for combined arms. So it's 14 to 10. So it would be nice if I could just roll something high enough to beat these guys on this roll. 7-7. Well, that's going to win, finally. So mine goes to 21, and theirs goes to 17. So we win. Not an overrun, but we win. And that is more than enough, given how things have been going thus far. So they're spent, but we finally captured St. Nicholas. Or San Nicholas, sorry. We'll send these guys in here again. So again, it's going to be 11 for them to start, and we have a 10. We will add an engineer and artillery, so that adds 3. Give us 13 plus 1 for combined arms. So it is 14 to 11. Hopefully I roll big. And I don't. They roll a 7, giving them 18, and we roll a 4, giving us 18. So stalemate, but at least we don't lose any morale or units. Now up here, we've got another 13 to start with attack value. We start at 10. We will use another engineer and another artillery to give us 13 plus 1 is 14. And that's all I'm going to do because I'm saving some of the support for some of my other attacks because we got a tough one down here as well. And I think we got them. They got 8-7. So we did get them. 22 to 20. So they get eliminated. These two go in here. They're spent. And my Paho is ours. All right. Now we've got, I think I won, what, 2 more, right? So we're at 11, I think. Well, let's do our favorite down here. We've got 4. 4 plus 3 is 7 for us, and they get 13. This is the one that's really hard. Really, really hard. I can use 4 artillery, so I will. push us to 11. We can't get the combined arms, and we don't get the morale because of the civilians and refugees. So I have to straight up outroll them by 3. And I don't. I got 7, they got 6. So we outrolled them by 1. So they get 19, and we get 18, and we lose again. That goes there. These guys get flipped. We lose a morale point. I continue to get frustrated. The airfield, just as it was historically, is bare and really, really difficult to capture. Okay, so we have, 3 more attacks I can do, and I've got 1 artillery support left. So this is going to be interesting. Well, let's do this one. So we know they've got a 9. They've got a 9. We've got a 5, 3, 5. This one is a 5 as well, I believe. Yes, so 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Bottom unit is the lead unit. So it is 9 to 9. And I'm not going to use my support. So we're just going to straight up dice off here and hope for the best. $11 to 6. So that means I win. And we won by 5, so no overrun. So they get spent. We did take San Francisco del Monte. So that's in 4. This becomes a 12. We'll have this guy. We'll go here. I'm going to try to stay in the clear areas if possible. Ambush 5. Okay, so ambush again is going to result in us losing the lead unit unless we get a repulse, in which case we lose the lead unit anyway. So I will lead with the infantry because it's only a 7 attack value for them. So I'm going to lead with the 5 because that saves me a supply point. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we start at 9. They start at 7. I will keep my artillery for this attack down here. So it is 9, 7. And they got a 6 and we got a 9. Well, that was a 9. Yeah. All right. So this is eliminated. We control this one as well now. And now we know we're going to, wherever we go here, we got forts all along the Manila Bay here. Let's go here. So I'm going to move in here, flip this guy. Sniper 6. So the sniper is going to place our leader after the combat in the box. So we've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They have 9. So they have 9. We have 8. We get a 9th with our artillery to tie it up. And we have to hope we can beat them in a straight up dice off. Well, they rolled it. It's a stalemate. All right. That ends that. This is now going to get flipped and move to 9 because it's the end of the phase. And we go to turn 5. And we flip all these guys back over to fresh. So that ends turn 4. We go to turn 5. I'm actually going to stop here and wrap this video up. We will do a part 2 with the completion of the game. But for now, that's going to wrap it up. I'm sure I made mistakes. I definitely forget things as I go through. Trying to walk and chew gum at the same time as far as talking about what I'm doing and trying to, keep all the rules in mind and everything. I know I corrected some things along the way, and I may notice 1 or 2, hopefully only 1 or 2 things during editing, but regardless, that's going to do it for now. So you can comment and let me know of things I may have screwed up or your thoughts on the game or any questions or whatever. All of that stuff is always, of course, welcome. But yeah, that wraps it up for now. Please consider liking, sharing, or subscribing if you would to help the channel grow. Spit it out, Joe. Thank you. But yeah, that does it. I'm Joe. This is Hexed Encountered. And until next time, as always, happy gaming.